Hey, what's up guys, it's WiseGuyVito here, and today I'm going to do a tier list for you guys for Sentries against Terminids. If you would, like, share, and subscribe in the video, comment down below about your opinions on the state of Sentries and how good they are, and let's get right into the video. So, before I start, let me kind of go over the tiers real quick. S is, it's pretty much good in every scenario, any mission whatsoever, it's just a solid pick. It's just a very, very good pick. It's very competitive, definitely in 7, 8, 9 difficulties. A tier is, it's still very good to use. It may have a particular, problem with it or flaw with it, but with some time and maybe positioning of the actual Sentry, you can still make this into a very, very good Sentry in 7 and 9 difficulty. B tier is, it feels like an average Sentry. Nothing really too special about it. It may have a particular niche that it serves. C tier is, it feels kind of underwhelming. It's not that great. It definitely might want to see some buffs later on down the line. And D tier is, it's either worthless against bugs because it's not really built for bugs, or it is that bad of a Sentry that it needs some significant reworks or changes or buffs in order to make it into a competitive pick within the Sentries. So without further ado, with that explanation out of the way, let's get started. So I'm gonna start off with the Mortar Sentries first. Mortar Sentries, I feel like it's an A tier. I feel like with time, I feel like this Sentry has just gotten a tad worse, right? And the reason why is because the amount of times that I get killed by this in not defense missions, I feel like if it was a defense mission, this thing is S tier all day long, right? So like defend generators, or to do the ones where it's like a very, very small map, we have to kill a bunch of Terminids. It's very, very good, right? Because it just clears everything, right? But on normal missions though, you get team killed by this so many times, and I don't feel like it's a very good pick for closing up. So like eradicate missions or going after nest missions or anything like that. Plus, if something gets too close to it, it has no way of really defending itself. But really, as far as like the team kills go, I feel like it's really bad as far as team killing on every other mission that's not either a kill mission or defense mission. If it was one of those missions, it'd be S tier. But as far as anything else goes, it's really not that great. The Rocket Sentry is S tier. It is probably the best Sentry in the game currently since after the patch. Its targeting got increased, its damage got increased, its ammo economy got increased, and whenever it does target like a Bile Titan or a Charger, it goes after them. It doesn't go after like the little small bugs, because before it would target the small bugs. It now prioritizes, like, let's say if it is shooting at a small bug at first, it will stop everything that's doing, look at the big heavily armored guys, so Behemoth Chargers, and Bile Titans, and it will specifically go for them, and it kills it very, very quickly. It can defend itself as well. It's just just a phenomenal pick currently. I do think that it is the best stratagem, or the best Sentry, whenever you're fighting the Terminids. The Generator Sentry, it is worthless on Terminids. Don't use it, right? It's mainly just for automatons and blocking the attacks. Even then, I don't think it's really that good on automatons in particular either. But for the most part, it's not really built for Terminids. It's more built for the automatons. The Minefield, I feel like the Minefields are definitely better. They got a damage increase overall. They feel pretty much like okay. Before, I would say never take mines ever. Again, for defense missions, it'll go up a tier because I feel like it's way better on those missions. But as far as like eradicate missions or missions where you're constantly on the go from place to place to place, it seems to be not that great. You might use these more whenever you're defending, you extracting, sure. But as far as like the overall mission goes, if you're not really using the stratagem like most of the time, then I would say don't use it at all in those particular missions. I just feel like overall it's a better defense, or even like the kill missions as well, where you have to kill a certain number of enemies and then you leave, right? I feel like it's better on those missions as well, because again, like you're defending a particular area, it's more of like a defense stratagem. So in that regards, I feel like that's there, right? I feel like it's more of like a beach or stratagem. Another thing as well, the mines still kind of clip through the ground. So sometimes you'll be walking walking through an area, you don't see anything, you don't see mines, you don't see like the little how they look like on the ground. Like, you don't see the mines on the ground, and they just kill you anyways, right? Because they're clipping through the map and everything else to where you just can't see them, and you just insta-die to them, right? That definitely needs to be fixed to them. But overall, you know, they definitely do feel better than what they were. Same thing with the napalm strats, or like the napalm. It might be just a tad bit better on Terminids overall, because fire does Terminids are more susceptible to fire overall. But again, it's more of like a defense strat or a defense sentry than anything else. The EMS mortar is S tier. Like, what can I say about it? You throw it in a really good spot. It doesn't do any damage, but what it does is that it completely it CCs everything. It crowd controls, right? Whenever the dark fluid missions were happening, people were taking these like crazy, because you had to take these in order to stop the bugs from destroying the injector of the dark fluid to blow up Meridia. It's fantastic. I feel like this one is better for moving around as well, because you can throw it, stop everything, kill it, move in, destroy whatever you need to destroy, then leave, right? It's good on eradicate. It's good really on any missions, really, right? It just doesn't kill your teammates, right? But it's a fantastic defense. And it's also just a fantastic strat in general for just crowd control in general. This is like the little itty bitty. I can't even remember the strat's name, because like I barely even use it. It's like it's like the first strat, the first sentry that you get in the game. It's okay, right? They decrease the cooldown to where you can throw it like way more often. But I still feel like the Gatling Sentry is still the better pick overall. But it's an average sentry. It feels okay to use, but you can throw it more often. Tesla Tower, I'm tempted to put it in D tier, but if you defend it, it's C tier, right? I almost play with this sentry like it's a secondary objective, which is very, very weird to say, but you almost have to protect it. So you have to kill the things around it in order for it to kill effectively. It definitely needs to see two things, in my opinion. It needs to see a durability buff, for sure. It didn't get a durability buff this last big one patch, right? Nothing whatsoever. It needs something to make it better, right? Because currently, right now, it is not too great. It feels really bad to use. The damage is fine on it, right? It's just the build up to the shocks needs to be, I think, in my opinion, a little bit faster than what they are. But overall, I feel like it needs, like, once it gets a durability buff to where it lasts way longer than it should, in my opinion, because that's what I think it needs. I think it needs to last way longer than it should. I think it'd probably be an A tier, especially against Terminids, right? But overall, doesn't feel that great to use. HM placement. So this is like the manual Sentry. I do think it's A tier now. They buffed the rotation speed by 100%, so now it feels way better to aim with and use now compared to what it was before. I think the only thing that's bad about it is that if a charger is coming at you, you can't really do anything to it. It's mainly just like ad clear, bile spewers, it's ad clearing, nursing spewers, brood commanders, hive guardians. Anything that is not a charger or bile titan, it does very well against. But once it comes down to bile titans and chargers, don't even waste your time. Get out of it. Don't die, just shooting down a charger or anything like that. Just get out and leave. Otherwise, unless like there's some broken body parts, like a broken front leg or something like that, or an exposed leg for a charger, then sure, shoot at it, right? Or if its ass is towards you and not the other way around, right? Then it might be fine. But otherwise, it's not really good against those. But everything else is fine, right? And I would use this on anything, really. It's more of a defense, but it does do better in those eradicate missions and kill the nest missions. Anything that has you moving around the map, I feel like it's fine for that. Gatling Sentry, I feel like, is still S tier. It's a phenomenal crowd control, ad clear, like tiny little bugs, brood commanders, hives, spewers, bile spewers. Basically kills all those. It doesn't kill chargers and bile titans. That's fine, but it's fantastic for ad clear. Does a phenomenal job at that. Its time to kill value is insane. And the autocannon, I still feel like it's S tier. I feel like it may fall off a little bit over time, in my opinion. It's still very, very good. The problem is that the rocket sentry now exists. The rocket sentry, I feel like, is now better than the autocannon. But you can still take the autocannon. You can take 2 of these if you want, right? There's some guys who take all 4 sentries. Or there's some guys who take, 2 sentries or whatever, right? If you want to take 2 sentries that do heavy armor damage, I mean, hell, take a rocket and then an autocannon, and then it does fine. I think the problem with the autocannon is that it doesn't really prioritize bigger, heavier targets. It prioritizes anything that it sees compared to what the rocket sentry does, which prioritizes heavier targets. So if you want something to prioritize heavier targets, it's best to take the rocket sentry over the autocannon. But if you're wanting something that can handle more the medium armored enemies, or enemies that have a lot more health, so that would be, bile spewers, nursing spewers, hive guardians, brew commanders and such, then I would take the autocannon over the rocket sentry. But that is my tier list. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.